we have a lot of news to cover, so I'm going to start with the smaller, quicker news before we dive into some of the larger stories. I'll have timestamps in the description if you want to skip straight to the headline event. So first major update, this is something I posted on my community tab a while ago, but I do want to include it in a video because I feel like it's pertinent. As you may or may not be aware, Shondo, aka FallenShadow, was banned on Twitch for 30 days after she broke down crying on stream, claiming that she promoted self-harm behaviors. The community wildly disagreed, and there was a pretty large uproar against Twitch for what they felt was an extremely unfair ban. However, after only 2 days, Twitch actually went ahead and unbanned her. But the crazy part is the message that they gave her after they unbanned her, which says, "A member of our team reviewed your appeal and can confirm correct enforcement was issued. However, given the details of your case, we have determined that your appeal can be accepted." To which Shondo has interpreted, "So they're admitting it's only because of the backlash." Twitch being biased, unfairly targeting VTubers, and something everyone can be agree on, not being transparent with their bans, has driven everyone who uses this platform completely fucking insane. However, there is an update, as Twitch has announced bans on the platform will be more transparent. They say in chat, an excerpt from the messages will be sent to the user in an email. Streamers will be sent clips of their violations so they understand why they were banned, and streamers and chatters will be able to appeal. Now, this is great for a couple of reasons. First of all, including a clip of what got them banned is gonna be crucial for people to understand why they got banned, because some of these bans seem to come out of nowhere for no reason. And two, I feel like the fact that chatters can appeal a ban is simultaneously a smart yet arguably cowardly move on Twitch's part, because I'm not sure if you noticed, every time a big streamer gets banned, everybody immediately goes to Twitter and bitches at Twitch support on Twitter and just annihilates their DMs. So what I suspect is happening is that they just want the at Twitch support Twitter account to not get blown up, and they're giving chatters a way to appeal through their normal internal appeal system. The reason I think this is cowardly is because what they're trying to do is stop the heat from snowballing on Twitter, because once something gets posted to Twitter, it gets a lot of attention, it gets a lot of eyes, and people who aren't even part of that community will also pile on and tell Twitch to go fuck themselves. And it is only through this massive snowballing of attention on social media that really motivates them to get their shit together and unban people. So I think by funneling those requests very quietly through the proper channels, they're hoping to silence the snowball that happens on Twitter. And the most common response that I've seen in the comments is the bare minimum being delivered when it's almost 2025, which hard to disagree. However, it's worth mentioning that Shondo says that they're actually very happy and that this is all they ever wanted. And seeing as this update came basically immediately after Shondo's ban appeal, and the fact that she's actually very happy with it and is actually promoting this, gives me the impression that Shondo actually had a conversation with members of the Twitch moderation team, and they had a conversation. That might be a stretch. I might be making shit up, but that's genuinely what I believe happened based on the evidence that I'm seeing. Comment below what you think happened. The next piece of news I wanted to cover is in reference to a game called Claynosaurz. Very kid-friendly, claymation-style game. See, Nijisanji actually sent a copyright claim to the Claynosaurz team for using music that Nijisanji thought they owned. However, they have actually since retracted that copyright claim, because just after the hate against Claynosaurz started to snowball, Nijisanji realized something, and that's the fact that the music Claynosaurz was using that Niji thought they stole was actually music that Nijisanji purchased. As you may or may not be aware, even if you're making original music, it's extremely common to make that music by assembling music samples together. And so there are online retailers that sell those samples so that you can use them for profit. And it just so happens that both Nijisanji and Claynosaurz purchased music samples from the same company and purchase the same samples. And if you're wondering how a miscommunication like this could have come about, Vox actually goes ahead and confesses that he was behind this copyright claim against Claynosaurz. And he actually explains here, "I'd like to extend my sincere apologies. When first watching the ad in question, I immediately and incorrectly assumed that the music they had used was stolen from my film," which, as you may or may not be aware, is his animated short film, The Demon Hungers. He goes on to say that, in reality, that small part of the music that was in the Claynosaurz ad is a sample sold by a third party. The possibility never crossed my mind, and I'm very sorry for jumping to the conclusion that Claynosaurz would intentionally steal music from the film. I'd also like to apologize to fans of both the film and Claynosaurz who may have been affected or who made the same mistake I did. Overall, I am very grateful for Claynosaurz understanding, clear communication, and forgiveness during this process, and I'm happy we're able to put this issue to rest. Now, normally when there's a fuck up like this involving Nijisanji, I would be chomping at the bit to slander Nijisanji and make them look like the assholes. But now that I'm reading Vox's statement, I can genuinely 100% understand how a fuck up like this could occur. Music sampling is way more common than you'd expect, and I don't blame people for assuming that they have rights to something that they paid for and overlooking the fact that other people could have purchased those rights. Alright, now on to the major news that you likely clicked onto this video for. Amelia Watson is what I would describe as soft graduating. Now what does that mean? Let's read. We have come to announce that Watson Amelia, a member of HoloLive English, will conclude all of her channel and social media activities on September 30th, 2024. However, if you scroll down just a couple lines, you will see, though her channel activities will end, Watson Amelia will remain an affiliate of HoloLive production moving forward. And that's why I'm using the term soft graduation. Now, before I get into the responses and everyone else's opinion, I want to offer a hypothesis as to what I think is happening behind the scenes. When a talent is terminated or graduates, they lose access to a lot of resources. They might have their channel privated. They might be removed from future merchandise. They're barred from making any future appearances. Even though a VTuber who graduates isn't dead and can always rebrand and come back as an indie and all that stuff, losing access to a brand IP as massive as being one of the founding members of HoloLive English is just a huge blow to the creator, to the company, and to the fans. So likely what is happening is that despite the fact that she has personal life events that are preventing her from streaming, she's staying with the company on paper so she can still show up from time to time if she wants to swing by. She can continue earning ad revenue on her VODs and continue earning royalties on her merchandise. She gets to continue staying in contact with all of the friends she's made at HoloLive and all of the connections within the company that she's made. It just makes life so much easier to not have your entire career severed and decapitated and be fully cut off from your fans and your revenue. What's also interesting about this is normally when someone graduates, the hunt to see if they're going to rebrand immediately begins. But seeing as she's not technically graduating, we now know not to go hunting for Amelia Watson rebranded under some new identity. That's my 2 cents. I'm very curious to hear what you think the reasoning might be in the comment section down below. Let's go through some of the replies and quote retweets. First of all, countless fans absolutely heartbroken that they're not going to see Ame nearly as often going forward in the future. But what's interesting is that a lot of the comments are suspect that she might become a staff member like A-chan. Multiples of people going, are we getting a new A-chan? Amemana-chan? Can we still hear her voice from time to time? Is she going to be on the technical side of HoloLive? Luckily, there have been some sleuths digging through some of the information provided to come to some conclusions. Number one, there's a good chance that she might participate in future events. Is this going to be merchandise? Is this going to be concerts? Is it going to be collabs? We don't know, it's up in the air, but because she's still part of HoloLive, the door is still open for her to return at any time. And Ame herself later updated, confirming that it's likely she'll be joining future HoloLive projects and clarifying that she will not be joining staff. She might do some tech support for her friends from time to time, but she's not becoming the next Achan, which I think is a very important clarification. Ultimately, Watson announced her graduation on her Twitter page by saying, "Thank you everyone for the warm wishes. I'm not really sure what to say. I thought I could keep it together during the announcement, try to keep the positivity up, but just remembering all the wonderful memories we've made, Yellow Heart." And of course, we're seeing support from Made Mint, Ollie, Narissa, Crony, and so many more. Also, Callie later commented on the situation to give her thoughts, so I'll go ahead and play this clip now.
Really quick, I see some people are worried. There's no announcement or anything like that. I'm not going anywhere. Deadbeats, you already know this. I'm not going anywhere. I just wanted to talk a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and address my thoughts about Amelia. Sorry if I pause a lot. I'm recovering from a cough, and I'm also kind of, how do I say, I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, so if you'll just give me a minute. When people move on to the next part of their journey, people that have done so far in Whole Alive, right now it's not really a situation where I can say something like, "Are you guys okay? I want to make sure that you're okay," stuff like that, like I did with some previous senpai, because this is my own gen mate, which is this is not something that I've had to do before. So just if you could have some patience with me. I don't really know how to approach this kind of thing. I already got my tears out of the way, but it still doesn't, it's not. It is still really hard. This is something that we've had some time to process this information. It doesn't make it any easier at this moment to talk about what's going on. I know that I see there's a lot of people that are, confused and such. I wonder if there are people that haven't seen the news, but today it was announced that my gemmate, Amelia Watson, a member of Myth, Whole Alive English Myth, for 4 years, all of us have been together for that long. She is going to be ceasing her channel activities. Not from here on out, there's still 10 more days of her activity, sorry. That is what she has decided. She is one of the original members of EN who was there from the start. So this news has come as a shock to a lot of you guys. Again, we've known about it for a while. So Ame explained some of the situation to us, but the thing is, I don't even really fully understand. So I'm not really in a position to like clarify what she said. I'm not a spokesperson or anything like that. I'm here to just kind of tell you how I feel about the situation. I don't know any details. You're just gonna have to listen to what Ame has to say and what Cover has to say in the future. I think that the way that things will gradually unfold little by little over time, and I think you guys will begin to understand exactly what is going on. But I will say, and Ame has said this in a comment, I read the comment, she is not becoming staff. I think that is the one thing that I will say. She put a comment. Go look at the pinned comment, and that's all that I'm going to say about the information itself. But I wanted to talk about how I feel about all of this. Obviously, this is not something that I thought that how do I say this? I'm so terrible at talking. As a gen mate, I want her to stay with us always. I think that's normal. But as a friend, I want her to do what she wants to do and what feels right for her. Everybody's got a path in life, and just because one person's path maybe leads down a really long road in one direction, it doesn't mean that everyone's path goes in the same way. And that's just how it is when you zoom out and you see how the world is as a whole. I know that we get so excited and so into the fun world that we've built here, but when you zoom out, you can see that there are all these branching paths, and not all of us are headed down the same one. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, more than anyone can know. It's the same for those of you that have, office jobs, or those of you who have your own private lives. There are things that go on behind the scenes that nobody else knows about. Not all of them are bad, not all of them are good. It's just how it is. No matter what, I just want you guys to know that I support Ame, no matter what she wants to do, and nothing changes ever. That Myth is 5 people. It always will be 5 people, and we were thrown into the trenches together. Nothing will take away all that we've done together, but even more than that, especially Ame. Even more importantly, what Ame's done. And I know she doesn't like the spotlight, so I don't really talk about it often. I don't say it often, but the things that she has pioneered and started, the trials that she has pushed through when we were all, suffering in our own way from the pandemic, are really not something to brush off lightly. And even though she's off to some new adventures now, none of that is just erased automatically. She has done more than I can even explain. She is, innovative. perspective. Sometimes I feel like her brain is too big, you know? She needs to go off on her adventures and see how much even bigger her brain can expand. Ame likes to keep things light. Whenever I think of a person that likes to keep things light and cheerful, I think of Ame, which is why I'm trying not to be super doom and gloom about it, even though in my heart, I am very sad. I am trying to keep a smile on my face because that's how she is, a person who wants to keep it light and chill and fun. That is how I have come to know her. And so in respect for her wishes, I'm going to say that I support whatever path she wants to take. Myth will always be 5, and I know all of our hearts are very heavy. Things will not ever really truly be the same, but what I want more than anything, even more than the persistence of and being a part of a full person unit, is the happiness of my friend. I'm not asking anyone to take the situation lightly and suddenly get happy, but what we can do now is look forward to a week full of the Ame adventures we have come to love over the years. Let's have fun with her and do it to the absolute fullest that we can.
Now, I know it's going to be hard for a lot of people to understand why Ame is leaving. And I know when it comes to your favorite content creator, anytime they leave, it feels like it's too soon. But I would like to point out that Ame has been with Hololive for 4 years. And by contrast, Idle Corp, an entire VTubing agency, only lasted 2 years before they fell apart internally and had to get bought out. Think of how many entire agencies collapse in less than 4 years, let alone individual talents, many of whom graduate or get terminated after a year or even less than a year. So if you are feeling heartbroken about the fact that you're not going to see a whole lot of Ame anymore, just know there are 4 years of Ame content, a seemingly endless wellspring of good memories from the world's greatest VTuber detective. And I will say, I will probably not be alone in rewatching Ame's debut stream. And honestly, regardless of whether this is a hard or soft graduation, let me say with full confidence that Hololive Myth will always have 5 members, regardless of what Ame decides to do in the future. And as much as I would love to keep talking about Ame, because there is truly a near infinite number of things I could say positively about her, we do need to move on to the next news topic, and this is particularly infuriating. So while Ironmouse was at TwitchCon, her main YouTube channel has been terminated. And I would like to remind you that this comes shortly after her VOD channel was terminated by a series of false copyright strikes that she didn't want to contest because that would require effectively handing over all of her personal information. And it seems that knowing that they could get away with that emboldened what are very likely to be the same people to go after her main channel, because they know she's not willing to give up that information. And it's hard not to agree with basically the entire audience right now, as everyone says that it's basically a competition between Team YouTube and Twitch support, between who is literally the worst. And I also want to highlight what Toledo said, because I 1,000,000% agree with them. Shit better get reinstated immediately, or this is actual war. Now, I know that YouTube isn't Twitch, and Ironmouse probably isn't going to be able to directly speak to the CEO in the same way that Shondo did with the Twitch CEO Dan, but I do still think that this is proof popular content creators hold sway over their platforms, as does the weight and words of their fans. There is going to be backlash. There's going to be hell to pay. This is not a community that is just going to roll over and take this shit lying down. Not on your fucking life. Now, I do want to highlight something that I haven't seen anyone else talking about outside of a couple of Reddit comments, and that's this comment that says, this might be related to the fact that a terminated channel can't have another YouTube channel, similar to what happened to Keemstar. And just like Keemstar, she might have to put that channel under a new owner in order to get it back. With other people confirming, you are right, it's due to being linked to another channel with claims. They have to fight for the VOD channel in order to clear everything up if it's still under her name. And even though this commenter is dubious, if owner shenanigans are gonna work in a case where all the content is strictly hers, I personally think that this is exactly the type of workaround that might work, because Ironmouse doesn't want to give out her personal information. But if someone else takes over the channel, and inputs their personal information, then they can go on and fight the claims. And when the claimant demands personal information, it can be the information of a public-facing attorney, which is not going to allow that person to dox Ironmouse. So in my opinion, I think that's the most likely path forward. I think Ironmouse, after 7 years as a content creator, has amassed a good number of allies and probably a decent legal team. I have full confidence, personally, that Ironmouse, more than anyone else, has the tools necessary to get her channels back. But it's entirely possible that that's just wishful thinking. It's entirely possible that since Twitch is her main source of income, and dealing with YouTube is a migraine and a half, she might decide it's better not to fight it. But only time will tell. And normally, I would pass the question off to you and ask you what you guys think, but I can feel the comments being typed as we speak. I don't think there's a person alive who disagrees. Fuck the guy who copyright striked her VOD channel. And I would also like to point out, one thing that's particularly fucking scummy is that this channel, Termination, comes almost immediately after Ironmouse debuted her animated short film on YouTube. Meaning that not only are all of the clips and VODs and YouTube exclusive content effectively gone, so is an extremely recent and very likely wildly expensive short film that was uploaded only a couple of days ago. This whole ordeal just feels like a massive gut punch to the fans, and I don't think there's anyone with even a passing interest in Ironmouse who is anything less than absolutely fucking livid. If the internet ever finds out who did this to Ironmouse, their life is going to become a living nightmare. But that is everything I had to talk about. I'm very curious to hear what all of you have to say. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, guys.